I wrote a novel. I should practice these things beforehand. I was supposed to swing around, but that's all right. Follow me on my journey. Welcome to chapter 6 of A Writer's Journey. Last week I talked about point of view, and let me say something I want to add to that. Point of view is important, but if you read some established authors, this is their 6th book, 7th book, they can get away with more than what you can if you're a beginning author. So you might see where point of view kind of flips around, or omniscient is used a little bit in novels by established writers. But believe me, in their first novel, that probably didn't happen. And that's for all of us that are beginners. Have to realize that established authors get away with more than beginners do. We have to follow the rules, and I use the word quote, rules in quotes, because they're not necessarily hard and fast, but we have to follow them, and sometimes we have to sacrifice what we consider to be our creative juices, which probably aren't, by the way, because I made a lot of mistakes where I thought, hey, this is beautiful. So you need to realize that. And the topic I want to talk about today is show, don't tell. And if you thought point of view was a problem for me when I started, show, don't tell was something that was extremely frustrating for me. And next week, I'll share sort of what I did as a response to show, not tell. Once I got it down and realized what I was doing and how to do show and tell, I still remembered all my frustrations, and so I put it out in this ad that I'll show you next week. But for me in particular, show not tell was extremely difficult because all I'd written before was nonfiction. I've written textbooks. I wrote a couple of nonfiction books about Jesus. And those are not entirely, you still want to do show in place of telling, but the concept is, particularly in the textbooks, you basically want to tell. Because a lot of the stuff you can't show. Particularly, say, for example, in my textbook on computer architecture. I could have some nice pictures and so on, but there was a lot I had to tell because it was a beginning book on that topic. So what does show not tell really mean? It means looking through your text and see where you are being passive, where you kind of bring the story to a halt because you tell the reader what they should think or what they should see or what they should know about this, when it would have been a lot better just to show it and let them essentially feel it rather than hear it. So for example, you want to avoid adverbs. In general, it's a general rule, particularly for beginning writers, adverbs are out. You want to have as few adverbs as you possibly can, because they really don't add a lot, and you can read in and check some of that stuff out. So you want to avoid that. You want to avoid, if you can, things like telling people how your character feels, like he was angry. Instead, show them he slammed down the book and marched out of the room with a big ruff. That really, you get the picture. You don't have to say he was angry. You know it. That's the kind of thing you're looking for with show, not tell. And that's the kind of thing that in my beginning work I didn't do. I told up and down. I said he felt this way, he did this, rather than writing him do it, showing him do it. It was awful. And when I got back the warnings, along with the point of view, the warnings on show, not tell, I once again, at times I thought, wait a minute, this is garbage. What I told them was really, was right, and it was good, and the prose was great. What are they talking about? And besides, it's going to make my novel longer to do it that way. And that's another issue. I think I mentioned that in the prior one. Length is going to become an issue. there depending on your genre, there are certain lengths that are kind of accepted, and you need to look it up and say, okay, especially for a beginning writer. Again, an established writer can write on and on and on if they've got a good track record and what they're writing is good. But if you're a beginning writer, you have to kind of stay within the guidelines of what publishers really are looking for lengths of books in your genre. So you need to look that up and find it. For me, it was under 100,000 words, and I just blew past that with no problem on my part. And then so the point was, I already was too long, and they were coming back and saying, instead of telling you got a show, well, the show took more words, so I was getting longer. And at first, the length didn't bother me because I didn't realize there was a problem with that. But later, when they came back and said, okay, you've done some telling, but you've gotten rid of a lot of it, so good, continue to do that, but also reduce the size. And that seemed to be contradictory. I couldn't do both. I had real struggles with this whole issue. And so that's what I'll carry on to next week. We'll end it here. Just know that show not tell is important. And you, as a beginning writer, you've got to really watch for that. And actually, let me tell you this. In the very end, the book turned out much better because I did a lot. I replaced a lot of my shows with tells, or a lot of my tells with shows. It just came out. It was much better, and I was pleased with the result because I didn't understand it when I first wrote. I thought my first piece of writing was good, but no, it wasn't. But it was much better, and I could see the difference. I had learned the difference and appreciated the difference by the time it was over, and you will too. So we'll end it there. Subscribe below if you want to keep getting notices when these things are posted. I try to post one every Wednesday. Like it if you liked it. Add comments. Tell me what you would like to see me talk about, or your struggles with either point of view or show not tell. Or some of your experiences in general with writing, and definitely topics that you would like me to cover, especially if I go over one too short. I'm too short and you want me to go in more detail, let me know. So that's it for today. Have fun writing.